Welcome to the Kansas Planner training on Essential Support Function 2, Communication. This webinar is being presented by the Kansas Division of Emergency Management. This webinar will present the information needed to complete ESF2 Annex in the Kansas Planner Supersystem. So let's begin. Once we sign on to the Supersystem, we are at the main menu. Even though I am working on my emergency operations plan, I have to start in the master data area when working on communications. So I click on the drop-down box and click on master data area. In the master data area, I want to work on communications, so I click on the communications tab. That makes sense. Under the communications tab, I find a list of the communication methods that have been previously assigned to my community. As you can see, our 800 megahertz radios have been added 3 times. Once as simply a radios, once for the county, and once for the city. I want to take a look at this issue, so I click on View Edit button. I think I'll look at the city. When I click on the Edit button, I get this screen. As you can see, it gives a good detail and shows that the city has 12 radios in it. I think this is probably pretty good, so today I'm going to leave it. If I did not like it, I could click on Delete and add the number of citywide radios to the description under one of the other tabs. But for today, I'm just going to leave it, so I click on Save. Now that brings me back to the communication screen. All the types of communication we use in our county is listed, so I'm going to go back to the main menu. At the main menu, I am now ready to work on my emergency operations plan, so I click on the drop-down box and click on the EOP. At this main menu now, I'm ready to work on my communication section, so I just click on the communication tab of the annex. Again, I want to double check my communications tab, so I've clicked on it. I get a similar list to the one that was under the master data area, but if you notice, I have an import communications button. This button tells me that there's a form of communication in the master area that I do not have in my emergency operations plan. I click on import communications, and I see that the GETS card is not on the list of my emergency operation plan. I want to make sure that information is on the plan, so I click on the box beside the GETS card and I click on Import. Now you can see that the GETS has been added to my communication list, but I'm a fuss. So I want all the communication with high priority to be together. When I do that, I simply click on GETS and drag it to the location that I want it to be. So now it's where I like it. So I go back to the main menu, and now I click on Annexes. The first thing I want to do in an annex is assign the actions. I click on Annex Actions. This brings me to a long list of actions. You will notice that some actions have stars and some do not. A star indicates that the action has been assigned to a specific agency. When it is blank, the action has been assigned to every responding agency. For example, number 1, maintain a central roster, is assigned to every agency. For my county, that's a good idea. Every agency needs to be accountable for their own personnel and assign positions according to their mission. But number 2 is identify who is responsible for initial notification of ESF personnel. That's a single person, and that job has been assigned to the emergency manager. Number 7, develop and maintain ESF2 annex, has also been assigned to everyone. I'm not sure that's correct, so I'm going to check this one. I click on Edit. I see that it's been assigned to all the departments, but I only want the emergency manager to have this responsibility. So I click on the check mark besides all. That takes off the check mark and highlights all of the areas, or makes it brighter so they're not grayed out. When I click on emergency management, because that's who I want to do this in Demo County, and I click on Save. Now I have a star by number 7, indicating that it has been assigned. You will need to go through these actions and verify that they are correct. Most of the actions will be the responsibility of every responding agency. A few will be assigned to 1 or 2 agencies. It is not important to have a star by every action, and let me assure you, if you do, it increases the size of the number of pages of your annex. Once the actions are assigned, we click on View All Annexes. This brings us back to the Annex page. Now we're ready to work on the Annex details. So we click on Annex Details in ESF2. Here we assign the coordinating, primary, and supporting agencies. The coordinating agency is like the conductor of an orchestra. We only need one, and we can again create chaos. We only need one or more primary agencies. 1 or 2 is usually good. Those agencies that are critical for the annex to work. And then the supporting agencies are the ones that provide the assistance in a large event. Once the agencies have been assigned, we click on Customize Annex. Under Customize the Annex, we need to read every part of the plan and make sure that it is correct in our county. But for this program, we are only going to talk about where we make additions to the plan. So we go to the drop-down box and click on Concept of Operations. We see the yellow highlighted words. These are smart tags and will be completed automatically by information we completed earlier, like the communication list we completed earlier in the program. Under the Communication Smart tag, we go to Communication Infrastructure. This is the location of the information that needs to be entered. So it's at number 8 in the Concept of Operations program, or section, I'm sorry. Under 8, we need to add a description of the process for monitoring and reporting the status of and damage to the communication system and infrastructure. We need to describe how information is provided to the emergency manager, and we need to identify what telecommunication services are present and any dead spots that exist in our community. We are then going to add a number 9 and provide information on our communications capabilities. We're going to answer what agency is responsible for managing communication in an emergency. If things get bad, who's going to have the answers? We need to know what radio system is going to be used, and is it one that we can all talk on, or do we have to have several different types and dispatch is the only agency that everyone can talk to? If that's the case, how are we going to achieve interoperable communications during a response? And we need to think about how service calls are dispatched. How will we function if the 911 dispatch center is not operational? We need to identify the backup capabilities for communication. Will we all go to cell phones? If we have a lot of dead spots, that may not work. And if so, do we all have each other's telephone numbers? What is available to augment our communications? What actions will we need to take to manage our communications between the scene and on-site personnel? So now we're going to go to number 10, add a number 10, and think about public warning and notification. We have identified most of those systems in our communications area, but want to identify the local notification systems that notify our community. What are the warning systems for emergency conditions? What agencies are responsible for notifying the public and notifying special needs populations? When we complete the annex actions earlier, we identified the agencies and their responsibilities. This information will generate from a smart tag. And finally, we want to talk about our file archives. The documents listed are required attachments. The matrix can be a spreadsheet or a Word document, anything that shows who can talk to who. The list of broadcast stations includes anyone that you might contact to get information out to your community. The coverage area and the dead spots are important for responders coming from different agencies. If only one cell phone carrier works in your entire community, but a responder from another location is coming and has a different carrier, he needs to know that there are locations where his phone is not going to work. We want to know where the repeaters are located. And finally, we want a list of equipment, personnel, and contractors. If you use CRMCS, please let us know that, and we'll check it out. We'll check it to confirm, and that'll be approved. It is recommended that you add sample forms and information about any displays that you might have, but it's not a requirement. So to upload a file to the file archives, we click on File Archive on the ribbon, and then click on Upload File. This screen appears. So we're going to make our additions to ESF2. When we do this, we choose a category, provide a description of the document, choose the file from our computer. We can upload up to 4 files at a time in the same category, and then click on the Upload Files. You can see that I've added my description. I'll now browse my computer to find a document I want to upload, and then I simply click on Upload. And finally, I want to see what my annex, I want to look at my annex and see how it's going to look at paper. So I go to the ribbon and click on the page across the top to the main menu. Oh, I went to Reports. I click on the Word logo, and I'll get a message that asks if I want to open or save the document. I want to open it. This is Reports, and I want to open it so that I know. I don't want to save it yet. Now I can see my Word document. I can make sure that there are no empty spots, that I've completed all the information. And if I find an error, I must go back to the Bold system to make the correction. Changes made in Word documents do not correct the Super system. And as always, I want to remind you that this is your county's plan. Add any and all information you think is important. Don't be limited by the concepts in the plan. Rather, expand it to meet your needs. Call Brant Hahn if you have any additional information or need additional information or assistance if you have any questions. And thank you very much for your participation.